Welcome to this explainer on the art of uncertainty. We're going to dive into one of the most fundamental parts of being human, how to think clearly about, well, not knowing.
This bit of ancient wisdom really sets the stage perfectly. It's a reminder that no matter who you are, our lives are shaped by things we just can't control. And this isn't some abstract philosophical idea. It's a deeply personal reality for every single one of us. And to really see what we mean by personal, let's start with a story. It's from the First World War, about a gas officer named Cecil Spiegelhalter, who was right in the middle of those horrifying battles near Passchendaele in 1918. Cecil's life was basically a terrifying lottery. His diary was just filled with notes like narrow escape and lucky to get through. And then, one day, it seemed like his number was up. An artillery shell got him. But here's the twist. Was it bad luck, or was it actually the best luck he ever had? See, that injury, the thing that looked like a total disaster, it saved his life. It got him sent away from the front, while his old battalion was moved to the Somme and practically wiped out.
So, what Cecil's story really shows us is this core truth. Our lives are these incredibly fragile chains of events we could never see coming, a mix of what feels like good luck and bad luck, all tangled together. To get a handle on uncertainty, we've got to look at its opposite first, certainty. And the key thing to realize is that certainty isn't some fact about the world. It's a feeling. It's a personal conviction. Think about Cecil the moment that shell hit. He must have felt certain his luck had run out. It's that feeling when you just know. And if certainty is a feeling, then uncertainty has to be personal too, right? It's not just a lack of facts floating out there in the universe. It's a relationship between us, the person feeling uncertain, and the thing we're trying to figure out. Okay, so if uncertainty is this personal feeling, then how in the world do we figure out how to measure it? Well, that story starts with our long attempt to tame chance itself. Think about it. For literally thousands of years, people have been using things like dice and knucklebones for games, for telling the future. Their lives revolved around the outcomes. But the idea of actually calculating the odds, of putting a number on probability, that's way more recent than you think. This new way of thinking gave us what we now call classical probability. The stuff you probably learned in school. It's the bedrock of how we measure chance. You just count up all the possible outcomes, and then you count up the ones you're hoping for. Simple as that. And believe it or not, this new math had some very practical uses right away. Let's talk about the infamous adventurer and lover, Giacomo Casanova. Turns out, he was also a pretty brilliant mathematician. So here's the brilliant part. Casanova designed a lottery for France that was basically guaranteed to make money. He did the math to figure out the true odds for every single bet, and then he just set the payouts to be a little bit lower. For a single number, the real odds were 1 in 18, but the payout was only 15 times your bet. That tiny gap, multiplied by thousands and thousands of tickets, meant the house always won. All right, so now that we have this amazing tool, probability, we can start to unpack stuff that seems, well, almost magical. Those surprising coincidences and incredible streaks of luck. Okay, let's start with a classic puzzle. In any random group of people, how many do you need before there's a 50-50 shot that two of them share the same birthday? Just take a guess. What number pops into your head? The answer is just 23. That's it. It sounds crazy, right? But what that means is in more than half of all professional soccer games, with 22 players and one ref on the field, at least two people are celebrating a birthday on the same day. So, what's going on here? It's not magic. It's actually a really cool statistical idea called the law of truly large numbers. All it says is that when you have enough opportunities for something to happen, enough people, enough coin flips, enough anything, even the most unlikely seeming coincidences become, well, expected. And this right here shows you just how much of what we see in the world is really just luck. In one English Premier League season, the final points gap between the top and bottom teams was 64 points. But get this, if every single game had been decided by a coin flip, pure chance would have created a 27-point gap all on its own. That means over 40% of the entire league's drama was just noise, just random luck. Okay, so knowing all this, what do we do with it? How does this help us make better judgments about the future? How are we supposed to live with all this uncertainty? Well, there was this researcher, Philip Tetlock, who spent years studying this stuff, and he found that expert forecasters basically fall into two camps. He called them hedgehogs, the ones who know one big thing, see the world through one single lens, and are super confident. And then there are the foxes, who know a lot of little things, are much more cautious, and are willing to change their minds. Guess who is better at predicting the future? Yep, the foxes, by a long shot.
So what is it that these foxes do differently? Well, it pretty much boils down to three key things. First, they pull in information from all over the place. Second, they think about their own thinking. They know they have biases. And third, and maybe most important, they have humility. They admit when they get it wrong, and they're not afraid to update their beliefs. So at the end of the day, acknowledging what we don't know isn't some kind of weakness. It's actually a superpower. It's a strength that helps us think more clearly and make much, much better decisions.
You know, the great physicist Richard Feynman said it perfectly. He said he could live with doubt and uncertainty. He thought it was way more interesting to live not knowing than to go around with answers that might be totally wrong. There's a real honesty in that. So why should any of this matter to you? Because understanding this stuff is like getting a new tool for your brain. It helps you sort through the flood of information we see every day and tell the difference between someone who's just confidently spouting off and someone who's actually making a careful, thoughtful prediction. So from now on, the next time you hear a confident prediction, whether it's from a pundit on TV, a politician, or some influencer online, you'll know the one question you absolutely have to ask yourself. Are they a hedgehog or are they a fox?